I went to a high school called New Trier. It's in Winnetka, Illinois, a town of about 12,000 people. But it's a township. It takes kids from Wilmette, Kenilworth, Winnetka, Glencoe, and Hubbard Woods, and they all go to New Trier Township. And from New Trier, there's no real theater program. From New Trier, Ralph Bellamy, Hugh O'Brien, Richard Widmark, Charlton Heston, Rock Hudson, Ann Margaret, Geraldine Page, myself, the little girl from Big, Elizabeth Perkins, Virginia Madsen. My freshman year in high school, Donald Rumsfeld was president of my senior class. His mother was our student teacher on all grade schools, so she would all fill in. And I think what happened, we were all aware that we lived in a community that was extremely narrow-minded. And it was time to go as fast as we could go. And so everybody fled. And yet none of us, I knew Ann Margaret in high school because she was a freshman when I was a senior. But otherwise, I didn't know any of the people, you know, that went on to be actors. I wasn't an actor. And when I came back in '56, to go back to school and realize I had to quit and get out, I started going to the movies. We had a little team called the Flick Team. And you had to see a movie a day. So you had to see 7 a week. And actually it was 8, so you had 1 double feature day. And when I went to the movies, I was fascinated because the people on the screen were touching me. And I loved that. And I said, I want to learn how to do that. How do you do that? I was a journalism major at Penn, for Christ's sake. I couldn't write worth shit. And I had a professor tell me that. He said, you know, you got to do oratory, Mr. Dern. You got to do something with your speaking and talking, because you write as a talker. But this paper, he said, I gave you a boy's dog had been hit by a car and killed. So our job was to put a headline on that story. So I wrote like a 13-word headline I really liked. And his name was Ruckty, and he was the night editor of the Philadelphia Bulletin as well. And he said, this'll never do. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, it's passionate and everything like that, but this isn't a headline. I said, what's the headline? Dog dies, boy cries. And I said, no, it's not for me. I can't do that. I got to tell what went on. So that was when I first began, and then I always was fascinated as I began as an actor, and still am to this day. What makes us behave the way we do, particularly in times of crisis? Why do we make the choices we make? And when I found out that, and Mr. Kazan really got on me because he felt I had a rare talent that he hadn't seen in a long time, and, or maybe ever, I don't know. But he felt I seemed to act it like it was. In other words, he believed me in my roles. And Mr. Strasberg was the one that says, you have this ability, Bruce, to open your heart in front of us. If we can get that on film and teach you to go as deep as you can go all the time, go there. It comes very simply, because I think that's what acting is. When he turns the switch on, if you will start with your heart and bear it and let it out, you're being publicly private. And that leads to nothing but staying on that level. You don't act, you don't perform, you just kind of become that. And that's where I got that idea from, and it's the same way with writing. You got to get the writers to go back and start at home. And there's anybody in this room, whether they've ever acted or for or not, is able to be creative, very creative, if they're willing to talk about what happened from here. But everybody hides shit, and they don't want to do that, and they don't want to explain it, and I don't blame them. I mean, I hide stuff too, but if a guy writes it down, I'm going to bring it on.